building in Monrovia. Pleasant good afternoon. Welcome to King's News Broom. 45 minutes of the most comparing news stories from Liberia and other parts of the world. Today is Tuesday, July 13th. Oh, July 8th, 2025. And I'm your presenter, Otis Sankan. Stories top in the news this afternoon. Ministry of Health launches Safe Motherhood Week to improve maternity and newborn health in Liberia. Health Minister Dr. Luke's protocols on stakeholders to renew their collective commitment to protect mother and safeguard newborns. Much publicized July 17 We the People protest gets more endorsement as concerned civil society organization declares support, accuse government of rampant mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption scam. U.S. government extol 1.8 billion agreement signed between the Liberian government and that Avaho Atlantic describes it as a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure expansion. And away from Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in protest, according to a state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. US President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policy of the BRICS alliance that go against US interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. The headlines, the news bulletin, and our foreign development are all packaged. I will take a break to be back. Thanks so much. The news bulletin was next with Semanjus.
The United States government, through its embassy near Monrovia, has applauded the 1.8 billion agreement between Ivano Atlantic and the government of Liberia. Ivano Atlantic major stakeholder is iPods Incorporated, a U.S. company founded and chaired by Robert Freeland, with a number of U.S. high-profile international and private investors as stakeholders. U.S. Embassy in a release Monday stated that it has officially welcomed the signing of the landmark concession and access agreement between U.S.-owned mining company Ivano Atlantic and the Liberian government, marking a significant milestone in the country's economic development and infrastructure expansion. According to the release, the agreement, valued at $1.8 billion, is one of the most substantial foreign direct investments in Liberia in recent years. The U.S. Embassy released further that the agreement aligns with President Buhari's national development agenda, particularly his government's push to implement a multi-rail policy, a strategic initiative aimed at unlocking the full potential of Liberia's natural resources through shared infrastructure. The U.S. Embassy statement also emphasized the importance of the agreement as a symbol of growing economic ties between the United States and Liberia. It reiterated its support for Liberia's commitment to transparency, good governance, and inclusive economic reforms, as well as reaffirming the United States' intention to serve as a long-term partner in Liberia's journey towards self-reliance. Criminal Court A has approved the criminal appearance bond of several indictees in connection to the alleged burning of the Capitol building, but placed hold on their release. Judge Roosevelt Willie Monday accepted a property bond proffered to the court by defense lawyer Wilkin Wright in the tune of over 400,000 United States dollars. The bond in question shelled defendants John Yanti, Eric Cisse, and Thomas Edridge, among others. Despite approving the defendant's surety bond, according to our judicial correspondent, Judge Willie had suspended their release. Prosecuting lawyers have 3 days to challenge the legal credibility of the bond proffer by the defense lawyer to the court consistent with law. The defendants are among 14 other individuals, including former House Speaker Fonati Kofa, who was indicted recently by the special grand jury of Montserrat County in connection to the burning of the Capitol building on December 18, 2024. They were charged with multiple offenses ranging from criminal felicitation, criminal conspiracy, attempt to commit murder, arson, and criminal mischief, amongst others. Tensions are rising within the Sawakuaja communities in Sino County as residents express growing concerns about the implementation and transparency of the Memorandum of Understanding signed between Debt Logging Company Liberia Limited and the local communities. Though debt logging, a Liberian-owned enterprise, is generally welcome for its national ownership, citizens are increasingly alarmed over the individuals appointed to represent community interest in the agreement extension. Some of the residents argued that the inclusion of former community leaders who they claim failed them under a previous logging concession is a troubling sign. In an interview with King's News, several residents reflected on their experiences during the operations of Madra Logging Company, which held a concession in the region for several years. According to the residents, many promises outlined in the Memorandum of Understanding have not been fulfilled, particularly critical development projects, largely due to what they described as ineffective leadership within the community forest and management and community assembly. In response to the residents' concerns, Debt Logging General Manager Nathaniel Nacht told Kings FM that the company remains fully committed to the terms outlined in the Memorandum of Understanding. He noted that the implementation has already begun, highlighting ongoing road construction within the company's operational areas as an example of progress. Several passengers along the River G County Highway have sustained major injuries and placed under medical treatment following a devastating accident of their vehicle. The incident occurred during the early morning hours along the Jopican Highway in River G County due to what eyewitnesses described as excessive speeding and loss of control by the driver. No death was reported. Residents along the highway are calling for increased safety measures to prevent future accidents. The Ministry of Health has officially launched the Safe Motherhood Week aimed at improving maternal and newborn health across Liberia. It's under the theme Every Childbirth Counts, Strengthening Care for Mother and Newborn. Speaking at the launch Monday, the Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Louis Spoto, emphasized the importance of every birth, noting that every life deserves the highest standard of care. She added that the Safe Motherhood Week is more than a campaign, but it's solemn call to action, adding that no woman should lose her life while giving life, and no newborn should be denied a healthy start. Dr. Louis Porter further underlined the Ministry of Health commitment to strengthening maternal and neonatal health care systems, noting that efforts are being intensified to reduce maternal and newborn mortality rate. According to the health minister, several things, including expanded access to emergency obstetric and neonatal care, increasing the number of skilled birth attendants, ensuring the availability of essential medicines, and addressing systemic barriers to care will be carried out. The Ministry of Health, at the same time, called on community leaders, healthcare professionals, development partners, and citizens to join hands in the effort to make safe motherhood a reality in Liberia. The coalition of civil society organizations operating under the banner Concerned Civil Society Organizations have formally endorsed the upcoming Enough is Enough protest scheduled for July 17. The pending July 17 protest is being organized by schools of Liberians in collaboration with Solidarity and Trust for New Day. Speaking during a press conference Monday in District 10, Darlington Barkley, Executive Director of Youth for Positive Change, said the endorsement stems from growing concerns over poor governance and worsening economic conditions under the Unity Party led government. Mr. Barclay emphasized that ordinary Liberians are facing severe hardship, which he attributed to mismanagement and misuse of public resources by government officials. He also expressed the hope that the protest would draw the government's attention to urgent challenges facing the nation and compel leaders to take meaningful action. In response, Solidarity and Trust for New Day Chairman Moluba Molu welcomed the endorsement, commending the civil society groups for standing with the Liberian people. He also used the occasion to criticize the government's National Reconciliation Initiative, labeling it as a symbolic gesture lacking real impact. Mr. Molu described the reconciliation effort as a mockery to Liberians, arguing that genuine reconciliation must be inclusive, actionable, and free of political showmanship. About 35 towns and villages along the Mafa River in Grand Kitman County have expressed dissatisfaction over the alleged use of mercury and other chemicals in the Mafa River by B Mountain, which appears to be a source of safe drinking water for residents of the area. Addressing the press conference, the lead counsel of the affected communities, Arthur Johnson, said the alleged use of chemicals have allegedly led to loss of lives, noting that it has also destroyed livestock, farm, gardens of people who survive on subsistence farming of the area. Councillor Johnson said he has written President Buhari, and if nothing is done to address the issue, he will file a lawsuit against the management of B Mountain at ECOWAS Court of Human Rights, giving an ultimatum to the government up to July 31st. The renowned Liberian lawyer is demanding 100 million United States dollars in damage. The executive director of Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission has completed a week-long assessment of former Ivorian refugees in the southeastern region. The assessment visit took the LRRC executive director to Grand Jide, Maryland, and River G counties to ascertain the integration of former Ivorian refugees into Liberian society in accordance with President Buhari's executive order. Speaking in an interview, LRRC Executive Director Jackson Page disclosed that about 269 former Ivorian refugees still needed to be issued resident permit. According to him, the Liberia Immigration Service has already issued 16 orders earlier, and more funding is needed to be issued. And in an effort to enhance digital access and improve learning conditions at Bone County Technical College, Bone County Senator Johnny Kweye has donated a brand new set of Starlink Wi-Fi equipment to the institution. The donation, which took place Monday in Banga, is aimed at providing reliable internet service for both students and the college administration. Making the presentation on behalf of the senator, James Kennedy, a technician in Senator Kwaye's office, described the initiative as part of the senator's commitment to improving education in Liberia. The gesture is intended to ease the internet burden on students doing assignments, research, and other academic work. Receiving the equipment on behalf of BCTC, Dr. Alfred Singh Takiweya, president of the institution, extended appreciation to Senator John Nkwe. He described the donation as timely and significant, noting that it will help reduce the college spending on squash cards for internet services and improve online connectivity for academic works. For his part, the student council president of the college, Alfred Colley, praised the gesture, calling it a dream come true.
Semanchus and the News Bulletin, a regular feature here on King's News Broom. Indeed, if you are just joining us, it's a reminder that you are in tune to King's News Broom. 45 minutes of the most compelling news stories from Liberia and other parts of the world. Stories top in the news this afternoon. Ministry of Health launches Safe Motherhood Week to improve maternity and newborn health in Liberia. Health Minister Dr. Louis Proto calls on stakeholders to renew their collective commitment to protect mothers and safeguard newborns. Much publicized July 17 We the People protest gets more endorsement as concerned civil society organizations declare support, accuse government of rampant mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption scam. U.S. government installed 1.8 billion agreement signed between the Liberian government and Avano Atlantic described it as a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure expansion. And in foreign news, at least 10 people have been killed in protests, according to a state run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti government rallies that began last year. US President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policy of the BRICS alliance that go against the US interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. We are taking another break to be back this time with the voices of the news maker. Thanks so much for rejoining us. The Ministry of Health has officially launched the Safe Motherhood Week aimed at improving maternity and newborn health across the country. Speaking at the launch Monday, Minister of Health Louis Cloto emphasized the importance of every breath, noting that every life deserves the highest standard of care.
We all team every breath counts. Strengthening care for mother and newborn. I stand before you not only as your minister of health, but as a lifelong advocate of mothers and newborns. Our Constitution acknowledges who have witnessed both the joys and the tragedies of childbirth. Our team reminds us that every breath is precious and every life matters. Say one week is more than a campaign. It is a solemn call to action. A reminder that no woman should lose her life, while every life and no newborn should be denied in every start. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Health, reaffirms its unwavering commitment to improving our health system with a clear focus on reducing maternal and newborn morbidity and mortality. We are working tirelessly to strengthen care for mothers and newborn at all levels, ensuring that quality, respectful, and timely care is accessible to every woman, every newborn, everywhere. We recognize that the health of mothers and newborn is a foundation of the healthy nation. As a ministry, scaling up efforts to improve emergency mortality and medical care, expand skilled breast attendance, ensure the availability of essential medicines in communities and address barriers that put lives at stake. But to renew our collective resolve to protect mothers, to safeguard newborns, and to build a future where no woman dies giving birth and no newborn dies from preventable causes.
She's Health Minister Dr. Louis Cloto. They're speaking at the launch of the Safe Mother Week aim at improving maternity and newborn health across the country. A coalition of civil society organizations operating under the banner Concerned Civil Society Organization has formally endorsed the upcoming Enough is Enough protest scheduled for July 17. Speaking during a press conference on Monday in District 10, Darlington Barkley, Executive Director of Youth for Positive Change said the endorsement stemmed from growing concern over poor governance and worsening economic conditions under the current Unity Party-led government.
Civil society organizations, members of the press, and the entire hardworking people of Liberia. Whether you are a student, a market vendor, a teacher, a motorcyclist, farmer, a nurse, credit officer, street seller, or daily hustler trying to survive in these troubling times. A warm greetings from the concerned civil society organization. We stand before you not as a politician, but as a concerned CSO, institution of Liberia, deeply troubled by the direction in which our country is being headed under the leadership of Mr. Walker. We recognize your pain. We hear the daily cries in the markets, on the campuses, in the ghettos, in the classrooms, and on the dusty road of our communities. Liberia is hurting, and the time to speak out is now. Today, we officially and unapologetically endorse the July 17 protest and stand with the solidarity and trust for New Day, which is stand to say enough is enough. We therefore support a non-violent and constitutional stand against bad governance, rising poverty, and broken promises. This is not just a protest, it is a national awakening, a demand for accountability, and a call to real leadership.
He's Darlington Barkley. He's the executive director of the Youth for Positive Change. In response, stand chairman Moba Molu welcomed the endorsement, commending the civil society groups for standing with the Liberian people. He also used the occasion to criticize the government National Reconciliation Initiative, labeling it as a symbolic gesture lacking real impact.
I want to say thank you to the concerned civil society institutions that have come together to declare support for this legitimate patriotic process. This July 17th protest is a protest of the masses. It is a protest, the protest of the people. That's why we declared July 17 as a day of the people. It is that day that has been set aside for your voices to be heard, for you to rise up in righteous, indignant anger to say to Mr. Boakai, enough is enough. I felt more provoked when I listened to a declaration of the president declaring this come Saturday as the day of reconciliation. I felt more provoked, I felt teased, I felt mocked. And I believe Wakai's declaration of reconciliation is a mockery to the Liberian people, because reconciliation has to be practical. It has to be pragmatic. While there might be some goodness in giving state burial or memorializing former presidents, it is even more important to memorialize 250,000 war victims. It is equally important not just to memorialize and get dignified burial to former presidents, but also to consider the dignity of 250,000 victims of war that were brutally murdered, in some cases, maimed, some raped. We believe the president's decision to memorialize presidents or former presidents while neglecting to honor or dignify or grant symbolic burial to Liberian victims of war is broadly concerning and will not keep us silent. That is why we are not just protesting on the 17th of July, but there are a series of steps that have been itemized to commemorate or leading up to the date of the protest.
He's Moba Malu's 10th national chairman. Earlier on, you heard the voice of the executive director of the Youth for the Positive Change, Darlington Barkley. About 35 towns and villages along the Marfa River in Grand Kitman County have expressed dissatisfaction over the alleged use of mercury and other chemicals in the Marfa River by Bear Mountain, which appears to be a source of safe drinking water for residents of the area. Addressing a press conference Friday, the lead counsel of the affected communities, Councillor Arthur Johnson, said the alleged use of chemicals have allegedly led to loss of lives, noting that it has also destroyed livestock, farm, gardens of people who survive on subsistence farming in the area. He spoke to Newsman.
Okay, thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, the Republic of Liberia, Liberian people. Also present here, our people who are victims and citizens, who are some of the citizens of the Grand Cape Mount County. This press conference is called basically on issues of environmental pollution that have been caused by the Bear Mountain in Grand Cape Mount County. As you all are aware, Bear Mountain is a company operating under the laws of Liberia, but it is from a foreign nation, which base is in Europe. And in the exploration or the mining operations in Grand Cape Mount County, they happen to be using some chemicals in the washing of their minerals and what have you. And in this process, when they do this washing, the waste are placed, I would say, let's say, wasted in the Mafa River. The Mafa River is a river that helps these more than 30 to 35, 40 towns that survive around this Mafa River in terms of feeding, fishing, water, and what other activities for their daily lives. The crops, the animals owned by some of these citizens here present from the various more than 30 some more towns in Grand Cape Mount County, they feed their lively activities relied upon this Mafa River. Years back, before even this regime, past regime, up to present, the Bear Mountain had begun operating and wasting harmful product, which they can call it mercury or cyanide in the river. When they waste the chemical in the river, what happens is that anyone who drinks from that river will subsequently die.
He's Councillor Arthur Johnson, the lead counsel of the Mafa River community in Grand Cape Mount County, that's speaking to Newsman. The executive director of the Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission has completed a week-long assessment of former Ivorian refugees in the southeastern region. Speaking in an interview, LRRC Executive Director Jackson Pay disclosed that about 269 former Ivorian refugees still needed to be issued resident permit. According to Pay, the Liberian Immigration Service has already issued 16 others earlier, and more funding is needed to be issued in later date. He spoke to Newsman.
We have people who were former refugees, Ivorians that came in here. Very large number of people that were here at some point in time. I understand it was around 17,000. Many of them chose to go back. And those that remain here, we still have them as our caseload. We have those that decide to locally integrate. That is to say they want to be, remain in Liberia at some point in time. We have to integrate them officially. And those that decided to be exempt, that, when the war or whatever the hostilities are in Ivory Coast succeed, they want to go back. And then we have those two different communities that we have in the southeast that live in the PTP camp and also in the little whatever camp, which is in Maryland. And I mean, these are very, very, good, high-spirited individuals that I've seen. Some of them have been here for years, but still they are kind of managing. And they are happy that we gave them the protection that we gave them, and they are doing very well. And 144 was signed by His Excellency the President and gave former refugees who decide to integrate in the Liberian society the civil documentations that they require to transact business, to move about freely. And that was the executive order number 144 that was issued. Just the World Refugee Day that we had just a few weeks back.
He's the executive director of the Liberia Refugee Liberia Refugee Repatriation and Resettlement Commission. They're speaking, Mr. Jackson Pay. Several passengers along the River G County Highway have sustained major injuries and placed under medical treatment following a devastating accident of their vehicle. The accident occurred during the early morning hours along the Jopwoken Highway in River G County due to what eyewitnesses described to be an excessive speeding and loss of control by the driver. A reaction from the resident.
Accident that had been taking place in Refugee County in Cyber Wifican. We want to say good afternoon and welcome to Afric Media. Good afternoon to everyone, all those who following. This is accident. Accident. This is a car incident. There are some people.
We've halfway past the news time. It's a reminder that you are in tune to King's Nws Broom, 45 minutes of the most compared news stories from Liberia and other parts of the world. Stories topping the news this afternoon. Ministry of Health launches Safe Motherhood Week to improve maternity and newborn health in Liberia. Health Minister Dr. Louis Proto calls on stakeholders to renew their collective commitment to protect mothers and safeguard newborns. Much publicized July 17 We the People protest gets more endorsement as concerned civil society organization declares support, accuse government of rampant mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption scam. U.S. government extol 1.8 billion agreement signed between the Liberian government and Avano Atlantic describe it has a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure expansion. And away from Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in protest, according to a state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policy of the BRICS alliance that go against the U.S. interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. We are taking another break. To be back with more development on the program. Thanks so much for rejoining us on the program. In an effort to enhance digital access and improve learning conditions at the Bond County Technical College, Bond County Senator Johnny Quayle has donated a brand new set of Starlink Wi-Fi equipment to the institution. The donation, which took place on Monday in Banga, is aimed at providing reliable internet service for both students and the college administration. Making the presentation on behalf of the Senator, James Kennedy, a technician in Senator Quay, often described the initiative as part of the Senator commitment to improving education in the county.
The Senator sent me here in order to debrief, to present the Starlink gently selected the Bond Technical College as a humanitarian venture. The fact that it means seeing there are some challenges in terms of internet connectivity from the Bond Technical College. So through humanitarian needs in the office, sitting here to present the Starlink gently. Not only presentation, but the issue is effective and connected from the Bond Technical College. As we will have a smooth operation in both offices of students in terms of computer connectivity.
Receiving the equipment on behalf of the Bond County Technical College, Dr. Alfred Singh Takawaya, president of the institution, extended appreciation to Senator Quay. He described the donation as timely and significant, noting that it could help reduce the college spending on scratch card for internet services and improve online connectivity for academic purposes.
On behalf of the Bond County Technical College, we are very grateful. We should extend our appreciation to the Senator for this gesture. This is not just a humanitarian gesture, it's professional, well supported, and we think it is timely because this is one major challenge we have had. where our students want to download information from around. We cannot have access to the equipped or required internet service. With this presentation, we are highly delighted. So we say thank you very much. It's very timely. We use it for the internal purpose, and we make sure we have it well presented to our partners in progress or on behalf of the administration. It starts, Mr. Quali, you are the newly inducted president for the students. I want to say we are presenting this for on behalf of the administration. That the senator office has given this that should be used for both administrative purposes and for the students' research purpose as well. So for and on behalf of our administration, we here welcome you to the uses of this facility.
For his part, the student council president of the Bone County Technical College, Alfred Colley, praised the gesture, calling it a dream come true.
Let me firstly appreciate the administration of the donor. We highly appreciate. We promise to use it for intended purpose. We will assure you. We highly appreciate your effort. And let me be looking at the transition of our new world today, the world of technology bringing this to us. It is a plus for us. It is a proof to us that you are care about the future generation. You are care about the world of technology, so we highly appreciate you. And we, as a student community, promise to use it for the intended purpose, and we fully utilize. Thank you.
He's the president of the Student Council Government of the Bone County Technical College, Alfred Colley. Earlier on, you heard the voice of the president of the institution, Alfred Takawaya, and the voice of James Kennedy, technician in the office of Senator Quay. Well, from that note, we like to draw the curtains on this lunchtime edition of King's News Broom. But before we take a leave of you, yes, tourists, we close there. Carry. At least 10 people have been killed in a protest, according to a state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. Police opened fire on demonstrators, and earlier on, Dr. Asan Sekuku, a medic at the Eagle Nursing Home in Kagame, on the outskirts of Nairobi, told the BBC that 2 bodies have been taken to the facilities and had died from gunshot wounds. He said hundreds of protesters had gathered outside his hospital demanding to take away the bodies. These demonstration marks the 35th anniversary of the historic Saba Saba, meaning 7/7 protest of July 7, 1990, which launched Kenya's push for multi-party democracy. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policy of the BRICS alliance that go against the U.S. interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. Any country aligning itself with the anti-American policy of BRICS will be charged an additional 10% tariff. There will be no exception to this policy, Trump wrote on social media. Trump has long criticized BRICS, an organization whose members include China, Russia, and India. The U.S. has set a 9 July deadline for countries to agree a trade deal, but U.S. officials now say tariff will begin on August 1. Trump said he could send letters to countries telling them that the tariff rate will be if an agreement is not reached. From the foreign scene, this is how we like to draw the curtains on this lunchtime edition of King's News Broom. But before we take a leave of you, yes, stories we closing follow. Ministry of Health launches Safe Motherhood Week to improve maternity and newborn health in Liberia. Health Minister Dr. Louis Quoto calls on stakeholders to renew their collective commitment to protect mothers and safeguard newborn. Much publicized July 17, We the People protest gets more endorsement as concerned civil society organization declare support, accuse government of rampant mismanagement of public resources and organized corruption scam. U.S. government extol 1.8 billion agreement signed between the Liberian government and Havana Atlantic describes it as a significant milestone for economic development and infrastructure expansion. And away from Liberia, at least 10 people have been killed in protest, according to a state-run human rights body, the latest in a wave of anti-government rallies that began last year. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned that countries which side with the policies of the BRICS alliance that go against the U.S. interests will be hit with an extra 10% tariff. Many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, and contributors who helped in making this lunchtime edition of King's News Broom a success. St. Andrews brought us the news bulletin. Cornelius Johnson sat control, and Edward Hindi the sound on behalf of the entire news team at Royal Multimedia Business Group. My name is Otis Sankan, I presenter. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Good afternoon.